I want to talk about why size matters and at the same time doesn't matter. Worm bins come in all shapes and sizes, and I'm just going to show you a few possibilities today. I've mentioned before, this ain't my first rodeo with the worm factory. So the first time that I tried to keep worms, I had something similar to this, and I really didn't know what I was doing, and I ended up with a huge stinking pile of garbage and a bin full of larvae instead of worms, and I ended up dumping all of that out, washing the bin, and sending it back to the factory. And then, lo and behold, I saw on the discount shelf of a toy store this little worm shoebox size worm bin. And it originally came with a sponge at the bottom to soak up extra liquids and keep the worms from going out the bottom. I have since replaced the sponge with a piece of plastic that I cut some holes in, which just works better for me, and a tray to keep any moisture off the countertop. And this worked really well because it was just small enough that I could see what was going on at any given time. It wasn't a lot to manage. I also couldn't put in that much food because it wouldn't be that many worms. But this really was a great way for me to learn how to worm compost on a micro level, so to speak. Since then, I graduated again to the worm factory, and I've been able to successfully worm compost with this for about 20 years. I think the key to that was starting small. I have made worm bins out of all kinds of materials. I love to get things from the dollar store. This was a shoe bin from the dollar store that I drilled holes in. I've made some for my sisters. I've made them for gifts. I also got a bunch of these little tool boxes from the dollar store that I've drilled holes in the side, which is kind of fun because it looks like a bait box. Of course, it would never be a bait box. Then that is not up for debate. But I drilled holes in it, and then I could take the worms to worm composting workshops that I run for preschoolers. I've also just had a takeout container that I punched holes in the lid, and that's also good for transporting worms. And for worm composting workshops for kids, I've had milk cartons lay on their side, and so each kid got a little individual worm bin. I'm only using this for demonstration because I don't have a milk carton, but you could even have a this size worm bin for kids. And then I've made them in this kind of size tote. I've been in some classrooms that had bins around that size. So you can have a worm bin really of any shape and size, but I do recommend starting small before you go big.